it can feel really intimidating to hear the words plant breeding. And this is something that I really want everybody who's participating in this mentorship, and it's also what I try to share in this podcast as a seed grower, as somebody who keeps seed, we are actively involved in guiding plants in a specific direction with every step that we do. And so the more intentional you are about it, the better the results are. Welcome to the Seed Farmer Podcast, the podcast where I want you to harvest seeds from some of the vegetables and flowers growing in your farm or garden, and then to plant that seed out to grow delicious vegetables and beautiful flowers. I'm your host, Dan Brisebois, seed grower at Tournesol Cooperative Farm and author of The Seed Farmer, a complete guide to growing, using, and selling your own seeds. Today's mini-sode is all about the Seed Farmer Mentorship, but first, news. So, the big news I wanted to share today is that High Mowing Seeds is now carrying Rainbow Tatsoi. This is a variety I've been breeding at Tournesol since 2007, 2008-ish. It was an accidental cross between some Yucchina Savoy, which is kind of like a Tatsoi, but a bit bigger and I think a bit better, and a population that came from Wild Garden Seeds called Pink Petiole Mix that Frank Morden had developed. And so this was a cross. I didn't expect it to cross. It did cross. The details of that's another story. But essentially, out of that cross over the last 15 years, we've been breeding Rainbow Tatsoi. And looks like a big Tatsoi that has pink to purple stems, and then the leaves are like a dark green to purple. In the winter, it turns completely purple. Had I known about that when I was initially selecting it, it wouldn't be called Rainbow Tatsoi. It'd probably be called like Winter Purple or something. Anyway, it probably took about 10 years to get to a fairly stable point, and High Mowing is now carrying it. They've grown it out and they're offering it. And here is the write-up in the catalog. Rainbow Tatsoi is one of Trials Manager Taylor's top picks for 2026. I quickly fell in love with this variety. It combines two of my favorite things, Yucchina Savoy and the color purple. Not only is it beautiful, but it tastes great. It's tender and mild. It is very slow to bolt, cold hardy, and can make sizable heads. This variety is also fun because the color changes depending on the temperatures. It always has some purple on the leaves and pink purple stems, and in cooler temperatures, it can turn a very dark purple. I love reading Taylor's words. I guess they kind of just describe what I just described. It feels really awesome after having been involved with this variety for so long to kind of, I guess, have this recognition. I mean, other people have definitely talked about it very favorably, and it's just kind of fun to see it in a print seed catalog that has wide distribution. And so I look forward to hearing what other people think when they grow it on their farms. So that's some news. Another piece of news comes from the Utopian Seed Project. Chris Smith asked me to share this. This is from an Instagram post. These are their words when I say we. So we are extremely grateful to the Wanda and Jim Morin Foundation for supporting our work. They have pledged a $50K end-of-year match. Every dollar donated to Utopian Seed Project will be matched up to $50K. We're fundraising to help build out our new farm site with plans for a community seed processing barn, event space, seed and root storage, and test kitchen. Everything from $10 to $100 to $1,000 and more will be matched, so double your impact today. There's a link in the show notes to get you to where you can donate. The Utopian Seed Project, they do really great seed work, and I think they're a great project to support. So if you're looking for something to support as we reach the end of the financial year, definitely consider them. You can also listen to episode 27 to hear my conversation with Chris Smith. I also have two other podcast recommendations. I was on the Wednesday, November 19th episode of Growers Daily with Jesse Frost. Jesse and I talk about seeds. Obviously, we discussed some of the things that I learned this past year and that happened at Tournesol this past year. We also talk about bean seeds, carrot seeds, and whether you should make your own hybrid seeds. Another podcast episode is not a CD episode. Julia Shanks was on the Market Gardener podcast with Jean-Martin Fortier to discuss the business side of farming. The reason I mention this episode is that Julia talks a bit about a project we're working on. So yeah, Julia and I are in the process of writing a book. The manuscript is due on December 1st. So this is like a real thing. It's like 11 days from when I'm recording this, and it's definitely really in my mind. And I will definitely be talking more about it soon. And Julia's interview is not predominantly about the book, but it gets mentioned a couple times. Julia does some really great stuff with business finances. I think you'll like the episode. If you have any seeding news that you want me to share, send it my way, and I'll be happy to share it. And now, let's get into today's mini-sode topic. Today, I want to talk about the Seed Farmer Mentorship because I'm taking registrations over the next week, and I'd love to have you part of the next cohort. So I want to just kind of go into what the Seed Farmer Mentorship is a little bit. At the base, the Seed Farmer Mentorship is a guided learning experience designed to help you build the skills, systems, and confidence to grow, harvest, clean, and distribute high-quality seed from your farm. So that's what the program is about. Last year, I ran the first cohort of the Seed Farmer Mentorship, and it was really great. And now I'm getting ready to do the next one. And it's going to start, I guess, officially in early January, but you can get a couple videos the moment you sign up. And registration is now, as I mentioned before. So who is the Seed Farmer Mentorship for? My target audience is farmers. I don't think there's enough resources out there on how to effectively grow seed in a farming context. But that being said, home gardeners are definitely welcome to join, but I'm expecting that participants understand how to grow vegetables or flowers or herbs or whatever their crop of choice is. Now, I want both experienced seed growers and new seed growers to be part of this Seed Farmer Mentorship. I'm going to make sure to keep it interesting for both groups of folks. New seed growers really learn a lot when there are experienced folks in the mix because it raises the level of discussion, and even though they're new, they still can benefit a lot from it. And I think experienced growers gain a lot by seeing seed growing through fresh eyes. And the questions that new growers ask can really bring new aha moments to experienced growers who forgot certain things that they should be knowing right now. So that's who the program is intended for. And I thought I'd share a few testimonials from people who were in the first cohort to tell you in their words what it was like. So Cassie from Jigbee Farms said, "I really value all the information I learned from the Seed Farmer Mentorship. It set me up to confidently and successfully launch my flower seed company. The monthly format was great and allowed me to put my learning into practice in real time throughout the season." Katie Jesserin said, "I'd been working for a few years as a market garden farmer and was doing some seed saving just on the side, but eventually came to a point where I really wanted to work on seed saving more intentionally. I learned about the Seed Farmer Mentorship at just the right time. I learned a lot about the business side of seed saving, including how to organize and keep clear records on multiple seed projects, how to sell seed on contract, and how to manage inventory. It was also incredibly helpful to have Dan as a resource to help me troubleshoot certain seed-saving challenges, particularly to my exact situation, and meeting other seedy folks from around the country was an added bonus on top of everything else." Stephanie Wang and Eric Da Silva from Le Raisin Farm had this to say. They said the program was complete and informative. They loved that it ran alongside the season, allowing them to experiment and ask questions as they came up. They both really valued the group discussion and learning from others' experiences, and they said that it brought out details that they wouldn't have thought of on their own. So those are some testimonials from the first cohort. As you can hear in their testimonials, folks really appreciated the information for sure, but also because there's a part of it that's live, they really appreciated exchanging and interacting with other growers, both from their bioregion and then also from other bioregions. And a comment that came up is they enjoy the cohort being in the same time as the growing season. This next cohort, the second cohort, is I've decided to do a little bit differently. I've decided to run it during the planning season. So this is something that I'm hoping as you're going through the Seed Farmer Mentorship, you're able to kind of really get a good idea of what the season coming up is and get ready for it, both in terms of all your systems and your tracking systems, but your crop choices and being very intentional about what you're intending to do in terms of breeding projects or seed growing. There is definitely also a practical cleaning and harvesting component to it, but I'm trying to run it as part of the planning part of the year this time. So the main structure is that there's 7 modules, the first one of which is available immediately. The others will first have a couple of videos released, and then about a week or 2 after the videos are released, there's going to be a live session. And so during the videos, you get to learn about the theory, and you get to process it, think about it. If you want to watch the videos a few times, you can. And then in the live session, you can ask any questions you want, but you can also, there's a chance to kind of go deeper into the subject and then lateral subjects. And that's really where the networking happens too, and the learning from each other, both from me and from the other participants. So here are the 7 modules. The first module is Seed Basics and Choosing Your Seed Crops. The second module is Record Keeping for Seed Harvest and Cleaning. The third module is Germination Tests, Seed Storage, and Inventory Management. The fourth module is Crop Planting and Growing Seeds on a Market Garden. The fifth module is Plant Selection and Farm Plant Breeding. The sixth module is Sharing and Selling Seeds. And module 7 is Seed Harvest and Cleaning Techniques. And these, as I said, the first module is available immediately, and then the other modules will come out basically every 2 weeks from the beginning of January to the end of March. So at the end of March, you'll have gone through the whole mentorship. You will have access to the module videos plus the live videos after the fact. You both can follow it as it's happening live, but then you can also have access to it afterwards. There's not a deadline where this expires after a couple weeks. Now, a couple additional practical features I want to highlight. There are going to be spreadsheets, which I love and I'm excited about, and I know some of you do too. And so some of the spreadsheets are based around record keeping and harvest management while you're in the field and cleaning seeds. So those are kind of like practical field record documents. And then there's also seed inventory management spreadsheets. And so with the seed inventory management spreadsheets, you would receive your seed, possibly that you grew yourself, or if you're contracting from other people, if you're a larger seed company, that might be the case. But however you get the seed, you receive it, and then you can keep track of germination tests. You can keep track of how much you've packed out and what's left. And this is just a really good way to look at your seed inventory and where you're at. These spreadsheets can seem like a little bit overkill if you've never grown seed and you only have 1 or 2 varieties, or if you've just kept a couple varieties for a couple years. But it is surprising how quickly things can get out of control once you start having 5 or 6 projects a year and you're multiple years in. And so these spreadsheets are easy to use, but very complex in the information that you're going to be able to get out of them. So I think they're really great resources, and I'm excited to share them with you. Another thing that I'd highlight is also, we're going to go into germination testing in depth. This is something that I remember really struggling with in my early years, and it's just so important to have consistent and reliable germination tests, because if you don't trust your seed, it's really hard to share and distribute it, and let alone sell it. So module 3 will go into it. So this is something that I really think is a really strong value that is missing in a lot of seed growers' toolkit. The right mediums, the right temperatures, how to build germination chambers. That's another thing I wanted to highlight. And the last thing that I'm going to highlight is, there's a focus on plant breeding and seed projects in this. And at the beginning of the mentorship, you'll choose a couple projects that you'll work on and apply the techniques we discussed to, and then you're going to carry those through the growing season later on. But it can feel really intimidating to hear the words plant breeding. And this is something that I really want everybody who's participating in this mentorship, and it's also what I try to share in this podcast just generally, is that as a seed farmer, as a seed grower, as somebody who keeps seed, we are actively involved in guiding plants in a specific direction with every step that we do. And so the more intentional you are about it, the better the results are, whether that's just improving a variety you're working with, or creating something completely new, or creating something that's a very diverse population that you're just working on. So that's really something that I want to carry through. Is just you can plant breed at home, whether it's simple or complicated. And I want to share that experience with you. So if this sounds like something that you would like to be part of, registration for the winter cohort is open now. This is a chance to learn practical seed growing, connect with other growers, and get hands-on guidance through a structured program. There's a link in the show notes. You can click on there to get more details and to register. I hope you consider joining, and I can't wait to see what you're going to grow and then save the seeds on. And that's another mini-sode of the Seed Farmer podcast. If you have any questions about the Seed Farmer Mentorship, do feel free to email me them or DM me them. And we're going to get back to some more CD interviews next week. Thank you to Sophia Sedalton for the theme music. You can hear more of their music at sophiasedalton.com. Thank you to Molly Breesboer for editing this episode and just for supporting me as I've been getting the Seed Farmer Mentorship together at this time when it's also conflicting with a lot of writing duties and it's been hard to keep front and center. But thanks, Molly, for making it happen. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you consider the Seed Farmer Mentorship. And if you haven't already subscribed to this podcast, now's the time. You wouldn't want to miss the next episode. Until then, happy farming.